Hi there, and welcome back to the Lisa Nichols Show. This is where I share tools and techniques to just take our lives to the next level. Here we gather as a tribe and we love, we learn, we grow together. I love reading your comments. I love seeing you engage. I love you responding to the things that happen inside each episode, telling me the things that you feel, how it relates to your life, what it made you think about, or your big BOL. BOL means breakthrough out loud. Or when you tell each other, Yana, YANA, you are not alone. I love it. Please continue to comment. Your comments mean everything, and it allows us to see each other. And in this crazy teaching, learning, patience requiring time, what's really good to know is that tribe is still there. Your comments remind us that we're still there for each other. I'm excited to share with you some things. Listen, I was just sharing with my team earlier that there's this funny joke that's gone around because people kept calling me the GOAT. And I never admitted that I didn't know what the GOAT meant. And I'm like, why are they calling me a GOAT? So I'm like, that's not like an updated unicorn. It's not like they're saying, oh, she a fox. I understand unicorn and fox. I didn't understand GOAT until a friend of mine who I love dearly, JJ Virgin, she said it means greatest of all times as a speaker. I don't take that lightly. You may not agree with it. On some days, I wonder how did I become that, but I do respect it. I respect the fact that there are those who believe that I have huge contribution in the area of speaking. So I'm excited to begin to share what I know. If you've stepped on my campus at all, my virtual campus or my live campus, you'll begin to see that I'm really targeting a lot of my energy toward helping people become master orators and unforgettable speakers. So I want to do that a bit here. So unlike this is not like anything we've done on my shows before. I want to begin to just share the techniques. Now, you can always jump into a program on campus and go deeper and have some, exchange in your learning. But here, I want to be able to at least introduce you to some things. I want to introduce you to 5 techniques that help any message that you're delivering, whether it's a one-to-one, one person in front of you, whether it's many people in front of you, whether you're live in a room, school or church or a party, school, church, or party, wherever, or whether you're online, social media, whether you're doing a program, whatever, wherever. These 5 steps helps you to create a powerful message. Now, I'm going to do it over the next few episodes. So make sure you look at each episode so that we have time in each one to kind of unpack, is what I call it, unpack the technique. And so technique number 1. Now, what I know is that it takes a lot of thoughtful pieces to create a powerful message. You may hear me call it a speech, but I don't want you to get caught up in the word speech as a formal, experience in front of a podium with a piece of paper. Because if you go live for 15 minutes and you're sharing something on social media, Instagram or LinkedIn or Facebook or YouTube right here, that's a speech. So I'll say message so you can really feel how broad it is. But I'll say speech every now and again as well, especially if you want to formalize it and you want to monetize your intellectual property. Anytime you want to monetize your intellectual property, you want to inspire and impact hundreds, thousands, millions of people, and you want to leverage that by getting paid to do it or for doing it. Nothing wrong with that. Then you really will have speeches. These 5 anchors really become your framework. So I want you to write that down, that these are their framework. I'm going to give you one today, and then in an upcoming episode, I'll give you another one, and I'll give you all 5. I've defined and or created 17 techniques that really make up the science of speaking. And more than just the science of speaking, the science of unforgettable speaking. So I want to share 5 of those with you. It doesn't discount the other 12. These are just the 5 that really shape a great message. Let's jump right in. Step 1, Create a clear distinction between your content and your stories. Okay, so let me unpack that a bit. Number one, you need to have content and you need to have stories. Now, the number of stories that you offer in your message has a lot to do with how much time you have, because you always want to give your audience of one or of many, online, virtual, or live, you want to give them enough content to walk away with value. However, it's super important that you give them enough story to walk away with a connection. So what normally happens, some of the best speakers that are out there today, best presenters, they are only doing one or the other. They fall flat in one of those areas. They're either all story and you don't have enough content to write down, or they're all content. That's pretty much the majority of people. They're all content. And there's very few opportunities to make a connection. So why do you deliver content? You deliver content because it's the intellectual learning that you're going to teach your audience, right? Whether it's new concepts, it's the theory that provides your audience with the insight to move forward. Content is the steps, the how-to. Content is where they choose to follow you as an expert, as a coach, as a leader, because you have insight on neuro-linguistic programming, behavioral management, media, marketing. You got that content on personal perseverance and transformation. You are the content provider for that particular body of work, meaning your intellectual property will help move them forward in their life in that area. Super, super important. Now that, I want you to put that by itself. That's important. The mistake most speakers make, most presenters make, is that they give you all of that. Well, I walk away with value, but you miss a huge part of me. Now, where is that? That's from the story. So the story is that experience that you share that grounds the content and makes it real. Now, you don't have to necessarily point to the content. You're just sharing a story about a time in your life, and that story just gives context. It gives 3D. It gives texture, what I like to call it, to what you're talking about, to the content. It brings the content to life in a moment. Let me give you an example. Well, the story is what allows the audience to see themselves in you. The story is what creates the vibration, the energy exchange. Remember, content doesn't create an energy exchange. Content creates an intellectual exchange. You want an energy exchange. Why? Content will have people respect you. Stories will have people become loyal to you. Those two things. It's the biggest missing most presenters have. Why? Because a story requires vulnerability. Oh, yeah, buddy. In order for you to really deliver a great story, you got to be able to access some levels of emotion, some levels of transparency. And most presenters, either online, virtual like this, on a podcast, on a virtual stage, or on a live stage, even sometimes in ministry or in business, they have walls up. Well, we as a people, we naturally want to connect. Naturally. So stories, they may not change the content. They're not supposed to change the content. Stories are supposed to support the content, right? They just add, they put the bumper rails on it. They seal it. They finish it off. So let me give an example. If I'm teaching on finances, and step one, you want to measure your finance. You want to know where all your finances are. Step two, you want to be willing to step in and adjust things. If you're spending too much, if you're not spending enough, you want to be able to do that. There was a time in my life when I didn't know where my finances were. I had a tendency to wish, hope, and pray that I didn't run out of money before I ran out of month. I would come home from a speaking event or in my early careers, and I would pray when I opened the door and I flicked the switch. What? You know the rest of that. That the lights would come on. So you see what I just did? I gave you a point one and a point two. That's the content. And then I gave you a story or an experience. Now, I did them both really short, but I just wanted you to see how your story really gives context to the content. That's step one, right? So step one is content, story, content. Have a clear distinction between the two. You don't want them to mesh so much together that you can't tell where the content ends and where the story begins, but you do want to create a nice flow. So step number one is have a clear distinction between your contents and your stories. Now, there are 4 other steps on how do you make a powerful speak. So make sure you subscribe so you can get all the rest of the steps. Or if you're already subscribed, hey, make sure you come back. Remember, this show is not just a monologue, it's a dialogue. I'd love to hear from you how this content about content and story either was something that you've been working on, something you had no idea about, or something you now understand. Like, oh yeah. Tell me if you've listened to someone who didn't have any stories and you could feel the difference between someone who didn't have stories and someone who shares a story. Just let me know. Let me know how this episode settled with you. What was the big aha that you got from this one? Leave a comment below. And remember that this is your home. I always want you here. We're your tribe. We always want to serve you. And I'm your sister in prosperity. And I'm always going to say that I believe in you and that I love you because I do. I'll see you real soon for the next steps.